you hear the word agriculture, I'm probably not what comes to mind. Obviously, my family and friends know that I'm a proud agribusiness major here at Clemson, but your average person on campus or back home in the middle of Dallas, Texas, would probably never guess. So, what does pop into your head when you think of the word agriculture? For most of y'all out there, I'd venture to say it's something along the lines of a farmer on a tractor in his field, boots, jeans, hat and all, maybe with a piece of straw in his mouth for good measure. And this isn't without justification. But modern agriculture is so much more than the antiquated thoughts that we typically have about it. So, raise your hand if you're directly involved in agriculture. That doesn't look like too many of you. Let's see if we can try something different. Raise your hand if you're wearing a shirt made of cotton. Okay, now we've got a good amount. Keep your hands up. Now, raise your hand if you've eaten in the last 24 hours. Oh wait, that's every single person in this room. We are all involved with agriculture, but most of us know relatively little about the industry, and that changes starting now. Today, I want to share with you that agriculture truly is an industry. And like other industries, it's got plenty of problems to solve in our modern world. However, the average American farmer is a 58-year-old white male, and homogeneity isn't exactly the fastest route to solutions. So today, I want to start a conversation about the need for new and diverse perspectives in the agriculture industry. We're going to talk about how we can make agriculture more accessible and appealing to appeal to a larger portion of our population so that we can drive our industry forward. I want you to know why you should have a hand in American agriculture. Like I said, agriculture is an industry. And for it to succeed in our future world, it needs people like you to start thinking of it with less nostalgia and more savvy, just like you might with the car or tech industry. And don't get me wrong, small-scale agriculture still exists. According to the most recent census, 88% of US farms are still small family farms. But they only make up about 20% of agricultural sales and 5% of net farm income. Companies like Monsanto, Land O'Lakes, Syngenta, Tyson, Kellogg's that you might have heard of have come to dominate the industry and output through production farms, incredibly well-financed labs and lobbyists, and innumerable contracts with smaller farmers. So with this growth in the industry comes the need for literally thousands of ag-related jobs to be filled. There will be 35,400 ag-related grads like me every single year. So should I worry about getting a job after college? No. And why is that? Because there are 57,900 ag-related job openings projected per year from 2015 to 2020. That's over 20,000 jobs that need to be filled every single year. Who says it can't be by you or your children? So why do we need your help? Well, have we all heard about things like climate change, GMOs, and trade wars recently? Agriculture often takes a solid amount of the blame for climate change indicators like greenhouse gas emissions and soil erosion and degradation. We need people like you to help mitigate this. Take Russ Consor, originally an oil and gas executive, and his company Standard Soil. They encourage soil enrichment and carbon sequestration through a process called adaptive multi-paddock grazing, which is basically just moving a bunch of cows around to small pieces of pasture really often. Are we concerned about the safety of GMOs for our children? Are we concerned about ensuring that the developing world has access to beneficial nutrients to help combat hunger? We need people to investigate these things. An example lies in our own Clemson faculty. Dr. Dil Thavaraja, originally from Sri Lanka, studies non-transgenic genetic engineering of high nutrient foods like pulse crops, which are things like chickpeas and lentils, in order to biofortify them. And I think we've probably all heard enough about trade issues recently. So how do we deal with varying health standards, safety standards, and values when it comes to international agricultural trade? The answers to these questions and all the others are out there, but we will get to them much faster if we have new and diverse perspectives taking a look at them. In 2050, there will be approximately 9.8 billion hungry mouths on this earth. In order to feed that many people, we will need to produce more food leading up to that time than we have in the entire history of agriculture. So, not a big deal or anything, right? However, we live in a world in which things can go from new to old and essential to irrelevant in a matter of minutes. So we can't necessarily rely on the wisdom of the past in order to prepare us for an uncertain future. So what's wrong with the people in agriculture now? Can't they solve our problems? Why can't they do it? Well, there's nothing wrong with them. They are incredibly driven, ambitious, talented individuals and the best jack of all trades that I have ever met. But a young female from the inner city might be able to do a better job building and implementing a logistics system that can better serve communities like the one that she grew up in order to appropriately and effectively distribute food to that area. Because one of the biggest challenges in agriculture will not be growing enough food, because I can guarantee you that that 58-year-old white male farmer will continue to do an excellent job cultivating his crops. He's done it for years. But instead, it will be appropriately and effectively distributing that food. Therefore, it is essential that we give that young woman opportunities to develop a passion for agriculture early on. We cannot expect the future of agriculture to come from an entirely agricultural background. According to the most recent census, 19.3% of Americans still live in rural areas. However, with the increasing size and mechanization of farms, thanks to all of our advances in technology, only 2% of them are directly involved in farming and ranching. We don't expect everyone that works in the car industry to have grown up in the car industry. Imagine asking Elon Musk that question. It'd be kind of weird. So we cannot expect the same from our future agriculturalists. I think everyone can agree that it's good to be a diverse industry, but we cannot become diverse if we are not accessible or appealing to a large portion of the population, namely those from non-agricultural backgrounds. We live disconnected from agriculture, and I aim to obliterate that box in your mind in order to encourage true interest and involvement. The solution to this problem lies partially on the industry and partially on us as consumers. So how can the industry change? Well, we can output relevant, honest, and straightforward information. People certainly aren't going to care what we're trying to tell them if they don't know what we're talking about. We can support things like urban agricultural education opportunities, farmers markets, and community gardens in order to connect people back to the sources of their food without them actually having to become farmers themselves. But if they want to do that, then props to them. After all, the best way to reach people is boots on the ground in their community. An outstanding example of this is the Chicago High School for Agricultural Sciences. Founded in 1989 on one of the last pieces of farmland in the Chicago Metroplex, CHSAS attracts urban students with its hands-on, innovative curriculum with a significant emphasis on math and sciences. So I'm looking at you, STEM people. Their graduates boast low dropout rates, high reception of college scholarships, and significant internship experience while in high school. So how do we encourage students to attend a school like this? Well, we can sponsor innovative outreach such as farm days or presentations in middle and elementary school to get kids interested as young as possible. They're teaching elementary students how to code. Why not teach them how their favorite fruit's grown? Urban consumers can also change. I challenge you to really absorb the fact that agriculture has thousands of viable careers out there. With starting salaries of $60,000 for agricultural engineers, $45,000 for farm managers, and $75,000 for commodity traders according to pay scale, an agriculturalist can be just as successful in a monetary sense as someone in any other typical field. And since agriculture's highest objective is to simply nourish the world, he who serves agriculture serves all mankind. So this is an industry that you should be proud of your sibling or child or friend for entering. Please help me out by seeking agricultural information from reputable sources. Think more along the lines of a university extension like Clemson's, and less along the lines of your favorite Instagram celebrity. Lastly, try out some agricultural activities like a dairy tour or a farm visit. You'll learn something, and they're fun. And hey, vineyard tours count. To conclude, I'm going to tell you a story about a boss of mine. Dun, dun, dun. Kidding, it's not that kind of story. This past summer, I had the absolute pleasure of interning at the Dallas Farmers Market under Beth Clem. Beth, a petite, blonde, bubbly, ambitious woman in her early 30s, grew up in a town outside of Dallas, attended Baylor University, earned a degree in entrepreneurialism, and became a manager for Nordstrom's. After having 4 awesome kids, she started volunteering with Bonton Farms, an urban farm in the middle of Dallas that strives to create change in one of our most underserved and poverty-stricken neighborhoods. A few months into selling produce for Bonton at the Dallas Farmers Market, Beth was offered the position as the new market manager. Her people skills and eye for design made her the perfect fit to appeal to so many different facets of the Dallas population. This is exactly what I mean when I say that new and diverse talent in our industry can drive us forward and help us keep pace with our modern world. Beth didn't grow up in agriculture and loves fashion, but with the help of Bonton Farms, she also developed a passion for agriculture. Dallas Farmers Market saw her ability and knew that she could do incredibly well within their organization. Her more traditional skills made her the perfect fit in this agricultural niche. This is exactly what I mean when I say we need people like Beth in agriculture. I want more people like Beth in agriculture, and I hope I've shown you why. In fact, I want more people like you in agriculture. With your help, our industry can grow and keep pace with our modern world in the best way possible. I promise I'll do my part throughout my life to bring us to you, if you can promise to keep an open and eager mind when I do. Thank you.